Well, you know they say you can't define the blues. You feel the blues. You're seized by the blues. You're possessed by the blues. There's just more to it than that. A transcendence, an essence, unmeasurable, unspeakable. The essence of Rosedale is the essence of the Delta Blues. As an itinerant performer, Robert Johnson performed mostly on street corners, juke joints, and Saturday night local dances. As a young man living on a plantation in rural Mississippi, Johnson had a tremendous desire to become a great blues musician.
That's what it feels like.
Around this time, Johnson met the blues guitarist Son House.
When you're broke down,
Late in life, House remembered Johnson as a little boy who was competent at playing harmonica, but an embarrassingly bad guitarist.
they say you're damaged.
Soon after, Johnson left for the area around Martinsville, close to his birthplace. Here, he perfected the guitar style of House and learned other styles while he was away. After his hiatus, when Johnson next appeared in Robinsonville, he seemed to have miraculously acquired a new guitar technique. Many wondered exactly how this happened. His newly acquired talent like no other.
Don't you know that
Well, folks, this is the stuff legends are made of. Stuck in Beulah, trying to get a ride back up to Helena, 'cause the ride left him out on a road next to the levee. Robert Johnson was thinking to himself about Son House preaching to him.
Put that guitar down, boy. You driving people nuts.
Walking along, guitar in hand, propped up on his shoulder. A cool night in October, the moon filling up the dark sky. As usual, Robert Johnson was just needing a woman and some whiskey. Big trees all around, dark and lonesome road. A crazed, poisoned dog howling and moaning off in a ditch alongside the road sent electrified chills up and down Robert Johnson's spine. Coming up on a crossroads just south of Rosedale, Robert Johnson was feeling bad and lonesome. But he knew some people up the highway in Gunnison. He could get a drink of whiskey and more up there. Not a drink in him. But Johnson thought his eyes were playing tricks on him when he saw a man sitting off to the side of the road on a log at the crossroads. He says,
You're late, Robert Johnson.
Robert Johnson dropped to his knees and said, Maybe not. The man stands up, tall, barrel-chested, and black as the devil, and walks out to the middle of the crossroads where Robert Johnson kneels. He says,
Stand up, Robert Johnson. You want to throw that guitar over there in that ditch with that hairless dog and go back up to Robinsonville and play that harp? Because you just another guitar player like all the rest. Or you want to play that guitar like nobody ever played it before. Make a sound nobody ever heard before. You want to be king of the Delta Blues and have all the whiskey and women you want?
That's a lot of whiskey and women, devil man.
I know you, Robert Johnson,
says the man. Robert Johnson feels the moonlight bearing down on his head and the back of his neck as the moon seems to be growing bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. He feels it like the heat of the noonday sun bearing down, and the howling and moaning of the dog in the ditch penetrates his soul, coming up through his feet and the tips of his fingers. Robert Johnson says, "That dog gone mad."
that hound belonged to me. He ain't mad, he just got the blues. I got his soul in my hand.
The dog lets out a low, long, soulful moan, a howling like never heard before, rhythmic, syncopated grunts, yells, barks, seizing Robert Johnson like a grand mal seizure and causing the strings on his guitar to vibrate. Beautiful, dark, soulful chords with a bluesy sound and notes possess Robert Johnson, taking him over, spinning him around, losing him inside of his own self, lifting him up high into the sky. Robert looks over into the ditch and sees the eyes of the dog reflecting the bright moonlight.
That dog ain't for sale, Robert Johnson, but the sound can be yours. That's the sound of the Delta Blues.
I gotta have that sound, Devil Man. That sound is mine. Where do I sign? So Robert Johnson signed a deal with the devil that night and returned to Rosedale with an all-new sound.
And I know
Truth is, nobody was there when the deal went down but Robert Johnson and the devil. Just like the blues itself, realms must be observed, or at least felt. There will always be naysayers and doubters about what really happened that night. But I believe that he had some kind of a spiritual experience, more real and true than the reality and the truth encountered on a day-to-day basis in the everyday physical world. The devil warned Johnson about the possible consequences of his decision that night. On August 16th, 1938, at the young age of 27, Johnson died. His death was a mystery. After drinking a shot of whiskey that contained strychnine, it took Johnson 3 days to die. This might have been the result of a spurned lover. Though well-traveled and admired in his performances, he was little noted in his own lifetime, and his records even less appreciated. Eric Clapton has called Johnson the most important blues singer that ever lived. Musicians as diverse as Bob Dylan, Keith Richards, and Robert Plant have cited both Johnson's lyricism and musicianship as key influence on their own work. Johnson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in its first induction ceremony in 1986 as an early influence on rock and roll. In 1991, he was awarded a posthumous Grammy Award. Many places now claim to be the location of the original mythical crossroads and have erected monuments to the creator of the Delta Blues.
to find another big yellow truck driving away. But that's what it feels like when you're broke down. Well, when you're broke down, you can't